Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We've been gone for a bit, but now we're getting back to it, at least this week. So we are here to talk about things as they are. The science of mind is mind science, the exact knowledge of things as they are. It's mind itself, which worketh in you. It is conscious identity demonstrating the omnipotence, omnipresence, and omniscience of universal good, capital G. The activity of being conscious is the God idea as mind. This thinking can't think about a thinker because it itself is mind identifying itself. Science is not the solving of problems, but the revelation of being.
Yeah.
What do you want? Do you want to say anything more about that, Betty?
No, that's fine.
Okay. One of the first ghosts that is laid to rest when one begins the study of science is the theory of an objective universe as matter and a subjective universe as mind. There is but one. In the realm of mind, there is no this is spirit and that is matter. This is evil, that is good. It's vision which determines whether your world image is matter or spirit, good or evil. The reformation of a world picture is not the old picture ignored, but a clarification of vision making a new picture. In other words, reformation is a new viewpoint, a new look. The fulfillment of our fondest hope is in the infinity of good unfolding for us as us. And that's taken from Margaret Laird's booklet or pamphlet, What is the Idea? Pages 55 and 56.
Yep.
So welcome, Betty. Welcome back. We've been gone since about May 21st, I think.
I know. Well, there was travel involved and other stuff going on, so
you got it.
Glad to be back.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so anything more you want to say to introduce the topic and really set it up?
Yeah, it's for me, it's like a reminder that it's not what I think it is. It's what it is. What I think it is my point of view. So my reactions are always to my own point of view. What's going on is mind present, functioning perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever I see is what I've got going on, not what's going on at all.
Right.
Yeah, it's good to remember that because we really live as we are. We live our whole lives as we are.
Right.
We greet people as we see them, not as they are, but as we are. Because what we see is what we're talking about.
Right.
We think is what we're thinking about. It's not necessarily what's going on. You know, you take yourself with you wherever you go, and you're stuck with that all the time.
Yeah, the grass is not greener over there.
It's true.
Or even if it's greener, it's not necessarily a better picture.
True.
A better reality, because you take yourself with you wherever you go.
Yep.
All right. So what are we looking at this time around? What are we exploring?
We're exploring things as they are.
Rather than what they seem to be or however they appear?
Yeah, and willing to consider that how it looks to me is my view.
Okay.
And then I'm always in front of facing the question, what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been this past few weeks, I've been looking at the freedom around, when things happen and then things happen and more things happen. And sometimes it feels like they're snowballing and not necessarily in the way that I prefer they snowball. And so I've been looking at, well, what is it that gets me so hooked into, oh God, bracing for another something. And what is that doesn't seemingly allow freedom to be present? And so I've just been sitting with it. And one of the things I realize is the more that I let it alone, the better I slept.
Yep.
The more I just let it be and didn't argue with it, didn't fret about it, didn't worry about it, didn't do any of that stuff, I realized, it is what it is. And who knows what that answer is, and I'm just gonna let it all be. And then I woke up this weekend, with some new ideas, brand new ideas that had never occurred to me before. And I started taking action on some of those things, and things are opening up in new ways. So it's very interesting to me because it's like you have all these different ideas. I've been reading a book, 10x is better than 2x, and it's like think outside the box and all things, and I keep and my jaded self is like, oh yeah, right, like good luck with that. But then as I'm looking at it, I just started to think, and I woke up in the middle of the night with an idea, and I thought, oh my God, and then I rethought it in the morning because I realized my math while I was asleep wasn't exactly correct, and I thought, the less I worry, the more ideas generate up and kind of come to the surface that I can see and engage with new thinking.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Sure. The less you are hooked by the appearance of being a two-legged animal, the freer you are to be present to what's real. And what's real, even in the world of physics and everyday manipulation of matter and all that stuff, what's real is an idea whose time has come.
Yeah.
It's not a thing at all. It's an idea. And the functioning of ideas is what is freedom in living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. All right, shall we jump right into our quotes and things?
Sure.
All right. Now, what everyone needs to know, thank you for being here. And if you have any questions, any comments, please go ahead and submit them. And if we're live, we'll go ahead and include those and answer anything that you have going on. And just really quickly, I just want to say that we're sponsored by the Institute of Metaphysical Science. We're a nonprofit 501c3, and we take whatever donations that you would enjoy or that would help us continue to sustain these live streams. But at any rate, this is what we're all about. So you can check us out at scientificmetaphysics.org. So let's dive right in. In the pamphlet, What is the Idea by Margaret Laird, on page 56, she wrote, we incur difficulties because of the tendency to outline conscious experience.
Yeah. What are we incurring difficulties about?
Our outlining.
Yeah.
And that's our judgments and opinions about what things are looking like.
And what it really tells us is how we're seeing.
Yeah.
I'm making an outline based on my point of view.
Right. And what I think should be happening.
Yeah, my point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really paying no attention to what's actually present.
Yes.
And the effort to satisfy Betty is not the answer we're looking for in everyday living.
Right.
What we're looking for in everyday living is the freedom of perfect being perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And it has everything to do with allowing yourself to not be hooked by the way it looks,
Right.
to not be hooked by the way you think, to not be hooked by what your neighbor says, to not be hooked by your opinions, by what you like and don't like, what you prefer and don't prefer.
What the polls are saying.
Yeah, all of that. Not be hooked by the TV and what it's spewing out.
Right.
It is a discipline in today's society with technology, the computer, the television, the ever-present world picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's a discipline to be yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to let go of your staunch convictions of what it should be in order
Yeah.
to find out what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. This habit strengthens belief. And that's the habit
Of
is the
outline.
tendency to outlining conscious experience
Yeah.
strengthens belief.
Yep.
And that's a belief, not seeing things as they are, but strengthening your belief about the way things are. Is that
About who you are
about
and
who
what
I
you're up to and who your
Okay.
friend is or your family
Right.
or the television. What is
Right.
that?
Right. And it's kind of being whipsawed around by all of that then, wouldn't it be?
It's all in the same picture. Yes.
All in the same picture. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. And then in Science and Health on page 248, line 15, Mary Baker Eddy says, what is the model before mortal mind?
Yeah. And the terminology that she used 100 years ago or so, mortal mind, the dead mind, means no mind at all.
Mm-hmm.
If it's dead, there's no mind at all.
Right.
So what's the model when there's nothing going on
Right.
that's intelligent? The model is, we have a friend that every time she gets upset, she's going to move to Mexico.
Right.
And it's like that. It's like that. You get hooked by something. And if that happens, I'm moving to Mexico.
Right.
And when something else comes up, I'm going to move to Mexico.
Right.
And I think of that once in a while. And I think, well, who decides what's really desirable?
Right. We used to have a joke where we said we're going to go up north and be waitresses.
There you go. Same idea.
Right.
But you take yourself with you wherever you go.
That's
And
right.
the person that's having the experience is the person you're taking with you trying to run away.
So is the model before mortal mind, the answer to that question that we just posed, is the answer to that our knee-jerk reaction? Or what does it mean by model before mortal mind?
And be your language world.
Language world. Okay. All right.
Not reality. It's what it looks like to you.
Right. So is it imperfection, joy, sorrow, sin, and suffering?
Whatever the language is.
Okay, so it would be any of those things then, the model before mortal mind.
Of course, it's all the language. It's always dependent on the way it looks, the way it feels, what I think about it. Yep. Something you see, feel, hear, taste, or touch.
Right.
That's the model.
Okay.
If that's what's running my world. I haven't got any rudder that works.
Right.
Okay. There's no escape from that. I'm locked into the way it looks.
Right.
The language world around me.
Okay.
The shape of illusion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And in Mind is the Athlete on page 138, you wrote it this way: the observable world is a view, language without sustainable reality of its own.
Yeah. The observable world, the language, all that stuff, seen, heard, felt, tasted, touched, all of that. That's language. And it's language identifying an idea. But we rarely ever tag on to the idea. We get wrapped up in the language, the way it looks.
Right.
And we decide that the way it looks is good or bad or right or wrong or sick or well, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
All those extremes that seem to run the language picture.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, and what is the idea on page 56? Margaret Laird wrote, so long as one outlines good from a personal standpoint, every ointment will include many flies.
Yeah. And what are flies?
All the troubles, problems, wishes, point of views, things like that, judgments, opinions.
Anything that disturbs or annoys or upsets.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fly.
Okay.
And it's persistent. It never goes away. You can do this all evening till finally you get up and leave the room or something.
Right.
I was sitting out on the patio the other day, and there was a kind of a gnat, and I was talking to somebody, and I kept doing this, trying to get it away from my. I finally said, "Should we go in the living room?"
Right.
And close the screen, keep it
Right.
out.
Exactly.
Like that.
Yeah, we were out on the boat this weekend, and we were just counting the flies, because they end up growing and then they're biting flies. We were just letting them sit as we were just enjoying the sunset. Anyways, it was kind of fun. All right. And then in Science and Health, Mary Baker Eddy says it this way on page 248, starting on line 19. Do you not hear from all mankind of the imperfect model?
Yeah.
And that's just people saying what they're seeing. Did you hear about so-and-so and that this is going on that way and da. And that's basically what we're talking about here, right?
Did you get that TV thing? Did you watch that program? Did you hear about that rally? Did you hear the speech of so-and-so?
Can you believe what they said? Yeah, all of it. I get it. Okay. And then the world is holding it before your gaze continually. It never stops. You turn it on and it's right there on the TV. Go to news. I don't care what channel you go to. You're going to get some version of whatever that news happens to be of the day.
Yep.
And you're going to go into your world and you're going to get emails and you're going to have conversations at work and everything else. And it's all going to be all about what's happening in that picture. And what should be happening, what's the right thing that's happening, what's the awful thing that's happening, the whole 9 yards.
Yep. That is the way.
That's the way it continually looks and is put in front of us. And then we buy it and then we let it go. We buy it, let it go.
Well, it's the temptation to put some believability in appearances in the language world. And it isn't like some far off idea that we have here. It's that you look and you make a judgment, an opinion, a consideration, a concern. You pay attention all the time that you're looking.
Right.
And that's not usually based on what is having this appear this way. I was reading a book and they were talking about the world of physics and how things relate to ideas and so on. But let's face it, I was talking about a book, and I'm locked into, yeah, that's interesting. Turn on the TV, it's time for the news.
Right. Right.
We live and move and have being largely in our language belief system.
Yeah.
And then when we get sufficiently unhappy with the belief system, we begin to think, isn't there anything else?
Right.
And it's those 5 seconds that keep your sanity in place.
Right. Right.
There must be something else. Huh? What would that be? And it must be powerful because I spend so much time in this picture. Just a second of an intelligent idea, present, functioning, is huge relief. And I think, wow, that's real power because I'm into this thing all the time, 24/7.
Yep. Yep. And Mind is the Athlete on page 138, you say it this way: consciousness reality is immutable, immortal, and eternal. It is forever sourcing our own identity.
It's sourcing its own identity.
Yeah.
Reality is.
Yep.
Yeah. And that pertains to every single thing. What am I up to? I have all the stuff going on that forces me to say, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Right.
What's real? And one way or another, and at one level or another, wherever I am, the answer is always there.
Right.
And we just keep walking on rather than getting lost in that struggle.
Right. It's like losing the forest for the tree.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. And then what is the idea on page 56? Margaret Laird wrote, thinking does not think about mind as thinker.
You have to read it a little differently. Thinking does not think about mind. Thinking is mind action, you see.
Right.
So there's no aboutness. Mind action is all that's present. All is infinite mind. Mrs. Eddy says, what's he talking about? The action of that idea is what we call man, not the aboutness.
Right.
Because when you have an aboutness, you have more than one thing going on. You got a thing and something else about it. And there isn't any else.
Right.
So we're really living and moving and having being about something has you missing the boat totally. So you have to give up the aboutness, because the action of that idea, thinking, is all there is to you.
Right.
It's all there is to being. Being itself is all there is. It's not being about being itself.
Right.
Okay.
It's just being.
Yeah.
The God idea is not here as thinking and there as mind or God to think about.
Good. Yeah.
The God idea is just
Yep.
being itself being. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. In Science and Health on page 248, line 25, Mary Baker Eddy wrote this: we must first turn our gaze in the right direction and then walk that way.
Yep.
And that makes sense. That's, know the facts, identify the facts present, and then be consistent.
Stay with it.
Yeah.
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 It's easy to be a human being and say, yeah, everything's just fine, but I'm never going to do that again.
Right.
So you're locked into the language view that did something.
Right.
I'm going to do it again, but
right.
all the struggle is doing it again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 24/7.
Yeah. It's constant. It's just being constantly mindful and alert.
Yeah. Being yourself.
Yeah. And I would say trying not to get hooked by the picture and all of that is just almost futile. I think more important is just recognizing what's true, what are the facts in any given situation, and identify those correctly and stick with it. And then whenever you see that, oh, I'm buying that. Okay, got it. What's really true? Well, all is infinite mind.
Yeah, I kind of had a little aha with my daughter, Ardith, when she was here, and we were having dinner, and it was really lovely. She's a great, great cook.
She
And we
is.
enjoyed every minute. Yeah, and I was enjoying the meal, and I remember thinking to myself, wow, you have grown yourself a terrific meal. And I thought, yeah, how come it's a meal? How come it isn't 24/7?
Yeah.
Because I think that there are times when I can be with the idea and all those other times when I can't. And the truth of the matter is, idea is all there is.
Right.
It's like wanting to have, like wanting to have a nice sandwich and going to the refrigerator and throwing away everything that isn't that, just throwing it away. And I think, oh, this is good. I'm just getting rid of all this stuff. Where's the nice meal? Do you know?
Right.
I can't have a nice meal unless I'm being a nice meal. I can't have it throwing away stuff that isn't that. I never will have the nice meal if I don't have the nice meal.
Right.
And when I have the nice meal, guess what happens to all the other stuff? It's not in the meal. And who cares where it is?
But it could be in the next nice meal.
It's not in the meal.
But it could be in the next nice meal.
Not if I have anything to say about it.
Well, then you might as well throw it away then.
Well, I don't have to do anything with it.
Right?
Yeah.
Let unselfishness, goodness, mercy, justice, health, holiness, love, the kingdom of heaven reign within us. And that's just saying stay true to fact.
Yeah, and I didn't put the reference down there, but that's also Mrs. Eddy.
Right. Yep.
On page 348.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Anything else about that?
No.
And then in your book, Mind is the Athlete, on page 138, you wrote, the wisdom of the ages requires that we take no thought. If we would be healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's a typo in there.
Yeah, I put the B in there because in my book it got left out.
If we would be healthy, wealthy, and wise. Yeah. So the wisdom of the ages requires that we take no thought. So it's not about the about.
That's right.
It's just about being.
It's just being.
Right.
Yeah. So the wisdom of the ages is take no thought.
Yep. All right.
Actually, if you have a definition for yourself from the standpoint of science, man is the expression of God's being.
Mm-hmm.
Man is the full expression of the God idea, etc. There are ways to say that. But if you have that going on at all, you're going to be able to look immediately and see where you get caught up in the language view.
Right.
And that's a point of view of what? It's a point of view of perfection. And Mrs. Laird used to say, pay attention to your seeing, because the point of view is the language, the way you're seeing what's present, which is perfection.
Right.
So when you pay attention to your seeing, you've got to be aware of the reality that's present. Look like this.
Yep.
So that you're not caught up in fixing this, but in staying with what's actually present.
Right.
Let the chips fall.
That's it.
Yep.
All right. So that's all we have for that's. So what?
Great fun to be back.
Yes, great fun to be back. And we'll see you in our next episode. Stay tuned and have a lovely 4th of July coming up.
Well, we're not going to be doing it on the 4th of July.
That's right. And that's a week from today. Or no, it's not. A week from today, we will be doing it because July 4th is on a Thursday. So we will see you all next week.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you all next week. Take care. And we'll be here at 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central. And until then, we shall continue to identify the facts and things as they are.
There you go.
All right. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.